with overweight people, or underweight people with underweight people, and so forth. So when you see clusters of people that resemble each other, it might merely be a function of the preferential formation of ties between such individuals. A different possibility is confounding. So Denise and I, let's say, know each other, we live near each other, and a McDonald's opens up near us. And the McDonald's causes both of us to gain weight. Now you see me and Denise gaining weight, but it's got absolutely nothing to do with me causing her to gain weight whatsoever. It's some third factor that's causing both of us to gain weight at the same time. And a third possibility, and for present purposes today, one of the most interesting ones is this issue of induction or peer effects, which is a question of, does Denise's weight gain cause me to gain weight, or her weight loss cause me to lose weight? And in fact, everything we looked at was symmetrical in terms of weight gain and weight loss, which was also interesting in terms of the press coverage, which went wild talking about, ditch your fat friends and stuff, which is, ridiculous, but didn't talk about how actually all our work talked about weight loss as well. And in fact, it was also very interesting that the emphasis was always on how your friends are making you fat, and in a very American kind of perspective, never considered the possibility that you were making your friends fat. It was always inbound. Others were responsible. You had no responsibility for anyone else. Okay, so there are a variety of sort of statistical and conceptual approaches to getting a handle on distinguishing these things. Incidentally, there's a very famous paper by Bruce Sacerdote here, I think, on whether or not having roommates or friends who are very good students improves your GPA. And what he did is he took advantage of at Dartmouth the randomization of roommates during their freshman year, and found that if you were randomized to have a roommate who was very studious, your GPA went up. Because you started copying your roommate's behavior. And so in a way, we're after a similar kind of phenomenon. Okay, now the longitudinality we have in the network, the fact that it's repeated measures, gives us some opportunities to begin to tease out some of the effects that I was just asked about as well. Sorting out the difference between the preferential formation of ties between people and this kind of process of induction or spread. This is a video animation I'm going to show you. In a minute, I'm going to put it into motion. It has the same conventions as before. The size of the node is proportional to people's BMI. Bigger nodes are bigger people. And if the node is yellow, if the person's BMI is above 30. Here we only show non-genetic ties, only non-genetic. And the gray ties are spousal ties. So this man in blue is married to this woman in red. And then the purple ties are friendship ties. This woman in turn has this other woman as her best friend. She in turn is married to this man. He in turn has this friend, and so forth. And you can begin to trace out these kinds of connections, these kind of threads in the social fabric through this network. In a minute, I'm going to put this network into motion. We're going to take daily cuts through the network for 32 years. People are going to be born or die. The nodes will appear or disappear. Ties will form or break according to who befriends whom, who's married to whom, and the like. And people are going to gain weight. The nodes are going to get bigger or smaller. But since this period of time includes the obesity epidemic in the United States, mostly you're going to see a sea of yellow arise over the 32 years of that this network is in motion. And finally, before I show you this, I'm going to tell you that we had spent, this took $500,000 to get to this point of making this video. And it was like one of the highlights of my professional career, because we had really wanted to show the following. When we first started this work, I had this image that the obesity epidemic would be, that we'd be able to find patient zero. We'd be able to find an obese individual, and that person, that there would be this spread of obesity through the network of this person. And that it would be like the physics experiments you either are doing now in college or you did in high school, where you would take a table of water that's very still, and you drop a pebble in it, and you get this kind of ripple, a wave, a concentric wave would spread out. If you've ever been to a New England pond and you've thrown a rock in it, you know what I'm talking about. And it reaches the perimeter of the pond, and then comes back, and you get this interference pattern, where you get these reinforcements of the waves. And I kind of imagine that there'd be this reinforced waves, that there would be these peaks of obese and troughs of non-obese individuals within this kind of socio-topological space. That you'd have this kind of reinforcement pattern within the network, which, as I said earlier today, is what the anthropologists call culture, right? There'd be these areas within the network which would be people that sort of said it's okay to be heavy, and other areas of the network where people said it's okay to be really thin, all right? So when I made this picture, I was really expecting to be able to see a single person who was gaining weight, and then a kind of spread of obesity out from this network. And this is what I wanted to see. And I want you to tell me if you see that when I show you this image. There's one woman up here who's going to gain a lot of weight all of a sudden. There she goes. And she's going to move to the center of the network. And at the end, I can't freeze frame it, but you're going to see a cluster of obese and non-obese individuals. The clustering is more apparent in this image than in the earlier image I've shown you, but it's going to cycle right back to the beginning. Did you see this wave or not of obesity spreading out? Why not? I looked at this, I was so depressed. I literally was waiting to see this thing, you know, and finally the software spit out this thing. It took 2 years to get the money to do the project, and 2 years to collect the data, and a year to make it work, and literally 5 years from idea to looking at this video. And there it is, and I don't see what I think I should see, and I'm really depressed until I get a very obvious thought. What is the thought? Why do we not see that? Well, the reason is that obesity is not a unicentric epidemic. It's a multicentric epidemic. And the proper analogy is not throwing a single pebble into the pond, but a whole handful of pebbles into the pond. So you get a really choppy surface. This does not mean that a single pebble doesn't cause the interference patterns of the waves. It just means that if you have many pebbles thrown into the surface at once, it's that much harder to discern what's happening, to see it when you look at the image. And that's why we've been using a variety of statistical techniques to bring out the patterns. Like earlier when I showed you just the statics, and I said we had to use those topological permutation tests to show you there's more clustering, it's a similar kind of example. Yeah?
Could you play that again?
Yeah, sure. What's amazing, of course, is this is what we experience, right? This is what happens in our lives. We go through our lives forming connections. People far from us are forming and breaking connections. That might actually have effects on us, and we don't even know what's happening beyond what is known as the social horizon. Yeah?
One quick question. Is there a relationship between age and obesity? Because you see individuals
Yes.
as they age. Right?
Yes, correct. And people tend to gain weight as they age. We could recreate this image netting out the effect of age, and all the statistical models I'm about to show you net that out. But age alone might explain the population prevalence of obesity rising in this sample, but it doesn't explain the interpersonal effects that I'm going to show you. In a minute, we'll control for that. Okay, so our next step was to specify a variety of regression models to study this notion of induction. And here what's going to happen is we're going to have a dependent variable in each model, which is ego obesity, and independent variables, which are lagged ego obesity, alter obesity, lagged alter obesity. I'm the ego, she's the alter. Ego age, gender, and education, and fixed effects for each wave, which combined with the age at inception account for the aging of the population over the course of time. We also have a variety of other lags, so ego weight change, alter weight change from t-1 to t affecting ego's weight at t+1, but I'm just going to show you the contemporaneous lags now rather than the further backed up lags, and the results are all the same. But in addition, before I show you these results, I want to highlight another detail. Let's say you're going to identify whether or not I'm a friend of Denise's. One possibility is that I say Denise is my friend, which would be an ego-nominated friendship, and Denise says I am her friend. That would be a mutual friendship. I nominate her, she nominates me. Another possibility is that Denise says that I am her friend, right? That would be an alter-nominated friendship. And a final possibility is that I say Denise is my friend, and she may have no idea who the hell I am, okay? That would be an ego-nominated friendship, and Denise has no idea who I am. That's my high school experience. So I think all these people are my friends, and they don't know who I am. Okay, so let's review. There's mutual friendship. We nominate each other. There's ego-nominated friendship. I nominate her, and I know who she is. And there's alter-nominated friendship. She nominates me, and I have no idea that she's nominated me. Everyone with me? The three possibilities, okay? Which of those three do you think is more likely, most likely that her weight gain will affect me? Mutual, right. We're very close friends. She gains weight. It's most likely. Next of those, which do you think is the most likely?
Ego.
Ego. I nominate her. I